short quiz, why are my tires wearing out? We just see if you can pull these answers up, right? And I'm gonna show you a little, couple of little tips on stuff you're gonna need to know. This is stuff you're probably gonna be using. Why would this be wearing like this? Mr. McBride, why would this be wearing like this? It's supposed to be facing the screen, not the other way.
Yeah, no, my lady friend sent me a text message of some flowers that said it was Valentine's Day.
Too much information.
That would be a positive camera?
Is that
Positive camber, please, you can do
Isn't that
better.
under inflation?
Huh?
Isn't that under inflation?
Well, if it was under or overinflated, it'd be in the middle of the tire.
Too much pressure. Center of the tires carrying the load. Wearing out in the middle. That's what the deal is on that. This stuff ain't particularly complicated. It gets a little tougher as you go though. What do you say about this one here?
That needs an alignment.
What do you think?
That's over.
Combination.
You got them backwards here. Not enough pressure. The outside of the tire is carrying the load.
That's
See, because it'll be dished in because there's not enough pressure on there. It's under inflation. So under inflation is not enough pressure, over inflation is too much pressure, right? All right, what about this one here? What I'm doing on this one here is I'm dragging my fingers across here and I'm feeling that it's feather edged. What do you think on that is gonna be?
the tread is feathered.
Yeah, it's feathered, it's sort of like a little sawtooth, you know, feather.
So is that toe line would be just.
Feather edge on the inside of the tread bars, too much toe in. If the feather edge on the outside of the tread bar, too much toe out. So which way is it dragging the tire down the road? See, if it's towed in, it's dragging the tires down the road this way. If it's towed out, it's dragging them down the road that way. You kind of figure that out. I will tell you, when you get it on the front end lift over, a lot of the times before you ever even do anything, if you've got your steering wheel straight, you can back up and look at the thing and tell if you've got positive or negative camber or if it's towed. You know what I'm saying? So if you look at it and you can see that, now you can't really, and you can, by the way, I have seen them too, when somebody had them out bad enough that the machine had trouble getting readings. So if you got the machine having trouble getting readings and it's towed way up, got a kilter, try to get it as close as you can just by eyeball and then use your machine to finish setting it up. Okay? What about this one here? You notice this right here? How that it's like boop, 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 boop. You'll see that? If you run your hand there across it like that. Problem with suspension parts possibly? Suspension parts being
Damaged
what?
parts.
Huh?
Bent, damaged parts.
Yeah, or worn out. Worn out shocks. Why would worn out shocks make the tire, you know, be scalloped like that?
Tire bounce.
Have you ever seen them when they're driving down the road and the tire's just jumping up and down something fierce? And every time it jumps up, it skins a little rubber off the tire? That's basically how that's gonna go. If you got unbalanced tires, it'll do that. Just bouncing really bad. Well, I was telling you, my dad, whenever his pickup or whatever used to bounce, the started bounce, he'd just get a pair of pliers and take the weights off and it would smooth it right up. You know? The thing with his truck sitting on the ground, he'd just pull the weights off and it would make it better. All right, now then, most commonly caused by a failure to rotate tires. Now, there was a lady that brought her little, I mentioned this I think the other day, but she brought her little Asian car, whatever kind it was over here, and she said that whenever she drove the car, it sounded like a tractor going down the road, you know, so nasty. She said it wasn't like that before they rotated the tires. Well, she had driven it long enough without rotating the tires that it had a particular kind of wear on the back tires that made noise on the front but not on the back.
Put the tires back.
Yeah, we put the tires back. You can't fix that by that time. I mean, I guess, you know, some years ago they used to be able to shave off some rubber and screw them up and all that. I don't really like doing all that. But one way or another, if you fail to rotate your tires, you can get that kind of thing too. And so it's just part of the deal. It's called scalloping, by the way. All right, so what about this one here? This is liable to be a little harder. You see that? And I actually got you a little bit of information on the right side over there. See how it's worn out over there?
What's that, camera so far out?
All right, look for thrust and or setback issues on that too. If caster, camber, and toe are all positive, it can lead to wear on the outer edge of the tire. And that's what you call a tolerance stack up. You know what a tolerance stack up is? That means it's all within tolerance, but it's basically close enough to be an out of tolerance that whenever all of them are right on the edge, it's like you got a problem.
Okay.
You got me? All right, so if you're driving a lot, like when a security guard or, you know, somebody like Gene on these trucks here, if they're turning and going really sharp around corners and stuff, and what's happening, have you ever noticed when we're pushing a vehicle and the guy that's sitting in the seat has got to turn the wheels really sharp to get it inside, how it's really hard to push it whenever, because it's having to scrub the tires a little bit. And if you're driving slow and you're constantly, you know, turning in a slow parking lot maneuvers and scrubbing it. And I'll tell you something else too, if you're thinking about the front end parts and all, and what kind of strain you put on them, it's a whole lot smarter to only turn the wheels when the vehicle is moving, instead of just sitting still. It's really hard on the suspension parts to turn them. You remember the Cadillac, or y'all probably weren't here, that Cadillac, that 71 Cadillac Eldorado, the guy that was driving it was turning in a parking lot up there somewhere, and that thing had this pitman arm on it, and the pitman arm, it sheared, you know, the little tapered shaft coming off the pitman arm down into that center link, it just sheared it off. And all of a sudden he lost his steering in doing a parking lot maneuver. Now, thankfully he didn't do that going down the road. Imagine yourself in 80-mile-an-hour traffic on a curve in Atlanta, and all of a sudden you've lost all your steering, and no matter which way you turn the steering wheel, the car keeps going wherever it wants to. Bad news. You know, that's what I always think about. What would happen if you're driving, you know, in Atlanta, if you slow down below 80 miles an hour, somebody else just crams another car in front of you. No matter whether you like it or not, you're going 80 miles an hour bumper to bumper traffic. You know, that's nasty stuff. And we got to take this stuff serious. That's what I'm saying. Always do a good job, because you don't ever know that car is keeping everybody safe, and a lot of times they're going at, you know, really high speeds when they're doing it. All right, this is inner edge tread wear. See that knothead carrying all these heavy things on the back of his truck? All right. Of course, it's his truck. He can do it if he wants to, you know. Negative toe and camber usually cause that. Negative toe and camber. Okay, so check the bushing, springs, and ask about frequent heavy loads. What happens if you got frequent heavy loads? Have you ever driven a pickup or any vehicle, particularly a pickup, is loaded really, really heavy and it feels like the front end is kind of floating? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's why you can load one so heavy, you know, that it's basically squatting down, and the front wheels have got very little pressure on them.
You can even see it on that picture.
Yep.
On the back of the truck.
Oh yeah, it's squatting down like it is in the front.
It's up in the front.
That's right, it's up in the front. And so there's a ton of different issues that happen if you do that a lot. You know, there's gonna be some stuff with that inner edge tread wear. All right, so what are the causes for these? Once again,
A is,
what would that
too
be?
much toe out.
No, think about it. What you got there?
Like scallop.
It's a cone shape, right? If the tire is laying over, right? It's more likely, if it's worn in a wedge shape like that, to be a camber issue than it is a toe issue, right? More likely, yes. All right, and then there's your what? What's this?
Too much pressure in the middle, right?
Overinflation, that's right. What about that one?
Underinflation.
What about this one?
A scallop.
Scallop.
Scalloping, okay.
So what was they?
Okay. Now this says alignment problem because they're being foggy, but whenever you got that tire laying over like that, where it's wearing like a wedge shape and it's always wanting to go that way, that will also cause a tire to pull. Now sometimes tires like to pull just because they don't like to roll, and they may look just fine. Okay? All right, so what about this one here?
Too much positive camber?
Not bad. All right. Now, we're gonna pause for a tech tip here. This is something you might not think about here. Let's say you got a 2000 Honda Odyssey that drifts to the right. Customer saying it drifts to the right. Now, drifts to the right doesn't mean it pulls to the right. That just means it sort of heads that way. You know what I'm saying? Now, You inspect the tires for uneven or abnormal tire wear and set the pressure to 35 PSI cold. That's on this particular vehicle, that's not on all of them, it's on the Honda. You know, whatever it's called for. Test drive it at 55 on the road with very little crown. That means that it doesn't have a lot of this, right? You want a flat road if you can. And so use a stopwatch to determine how long the vehicle takes to make a complete lane change on its own. See, when you're watching this, so I'm watching my stopwatch here, of course you need to watch the road too. But now I've changed lanes, how long has it been? You know, once you've stopped it, you can just look at your numbers. All right, if it takes 6 seconds or more, now this is from Honda now, if it takes 6 seconds or more to change lanes, the drift is normal. See that? Return it to the customer and explain the drift is normal. Use information from the tip as needed. In other words, this is actually from a bulletin. If the vehicle takes less than 6 seconds to change lanes, go to the repair procedure. If it goes over there in 2 or 3 seconds, you know that's not like it ought to be, right? All right, so you raise the vehicle on a hoist and look at the front suspension for any damage. See if anything's bent, which is McBride's favorite thing to do. If there's any suspension damage, replace the damaged parts and check the wheel alignment. If there's no suspension damage, go to step 2. All right. Why does the subframe make a difference? The subframe is that H-shaped piece that the engine and transmission are sitting on up there that you have to pull off. The lower control arms are typically attached to the subframe. Now let's say you pull the transmission out because you pull the subframe off and all this, and when you put it back on, if you just stick that thing back up there and ram those bolts in with an impact wrench, instead of even thinking about the alignment aspect of it, you could wind up with a wheel alignment problem that's related to what you did. Okay? Swap the front tire side to side and test drive it as you did the diagnosis section. If it pulls the other direction, and I don't know how many times we've seen that here.
Got a paint a tire.
Yeah, you got tires, you need tires. I don't know. If the tire looks like a really good tire that's got a warranty left on it, there's a lot of treads, they might want to just swap it out and maybe adjust it or something. But it's a good idea just to replace both the front tires. It depends on whatever the people at the tire store say. Of course, they're going to say a whole set of tires. Return it to the customer and explain the drift is normal, blah, 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 whatever. Swapping the tire didn't have an effect, go to step 3. Now right here is, you got to loosen the 4 subframe mounting bolts, right? If you pull the engine out of one of these cars that's got them bolts, basically you do that. Now usually whenever you're pulling the engine or the transmission out of a car that calls you to pull the subframe first, there's all kinds of stuff attached to the subframe too. But anyway, loosen those. And the 6 bracket mounting bolts, on that particular Honda, they got some bracket mounting bolts. You see these little holes up here? Those little holes are important. All right. On the right side of the subframe, you're going to put a long pry bar between the subframe and the body, and then shift the right side of the subframe forward. If it's already forward, go to step 5. The right side, anytime you read in a shop manual when it's talking about right and left, that's you sitting in the car. That's not you standing in front of the car, it's you sitting in the car. So if the right side is going to be passenger side, and left side is going to be the driver's side in this country. All right. Use the pry bar to shift the left side of the subframe all the way to the rear. So you're supposed to do that, shift the subframe. See how he's doing this? And shift that one forward and that one backward. You can kind of see what we're talking about doing there, right? All right, check the wheel alignment. Left and right caster should now be equal or more positive on the right side. Left and right camber should be equal. Toe should be 0 to 2 millimeters if you got it set for metric. Okay, and it's going to pull to the side that has more positive camber and more negative caster. Now the guy that works on the front end machines was saying sometimes he'll go to a shop where they'll say even after we get everything set and everything's in the green, we've still got pulling. Well, this is a tolerance stack up like I was talking about. If you've got negative caster, that's when your steering axis is back, on that right side. Let's say you got it's in the green, but it's a little negative. And if your caster is a little positive, but it's in the green, and it's pulling that way, and you know that the tire is not the cause of it, then if you've got, the most negative caster, the most top positive camber is going to go that way. And so you're going to have to fix all that. They got an alignment sheet over there, by the way.
Yeah, I
For
see.
you saw that, okay. test drive the vehicle to verify that place that he was talking about going to work. Test drive the vehicle and verify the drift is gone. Now, subframe alignment on other vehicles is necessary too. This is a Taurus subframe alignment. You see that? You got these holes. If you walk under a Taurus that you got up in the air, you'll actually see the holes in the subframe, and the part that it bolts up to has got holes that they're supposed to be lined up. You know, and if you start all those bolts, if you're thinking about what you're doing, you'll make sure the darn thing's lined up before you ever tighten it up, so that there's not something somebody has to do later. It's just good sense to do that, right? And see how they're using a 3/8 extension to go through those holes. If you line them up, see the body alignment hole up there, and when you go to put that up, I mean where it goes up to, and you tighten it up with that in place, you'll know that that thing is gonna be lined up the way it's supposed to be. Most of the time you wouldn't even think about that. You just think, well, I can just put it round up there with my impact wrench, it'd be aight, you know? All right, this is special tools for subframe alignment on a VW transporter. See, you got these little things, that's what this is talking about here. And this is basically giving you an idea. I'm not gonna go into all that detail on this, but this is the detail of where you're putting those in there. And when you line that up, see, it's connected to the lower control arms too. See the control arms on that one? And so it's really important that you make sure you put all that stuff like it's supposed to be. And so, all right, always check the subframe alignment when putting it, reinstalling it is during transmission engine replacement. Make sure you know how it's done and then do it right. See, there's another vehicle that's getting it done. All right. All right. Feathering front to rear. Now, what can you tell me about this tire here? Just looking at the tread design. What's peculiar about it?
It's directional.
It's directional. He's a smart cookie. Did you see that?
They said that too quick.
Directional. So what do you think he got? Handed him an answer sheet or something? High-speed feathering, which is heavy shoulder wear, can be caused by hard driving. You know something else that can cause it to wear? Let's say that some whippersnapper comes over here and he says, my tires are wearing on the, in the center. And that you've consistently checked his tires and they always have exactly the right pressure, but they're still wearing in the center. What would that be?
So you consistently checking those.
He's consistently driving really fast. You know what centrifugal force does? It's gonna throw that center of that tire out, right? And if you're consistently driving really fast, not only have you got the weight of the car, a car is kind of made like an airplane wing, and the air is gonna kind of pick it up a little bit. And also you got the centrifugal force of the tire slinging that center out. You got me? And if they're driving it really fast a lot, one time we sold this Bronco over there when I was at Ford Place in Dothan, and the people drove it to Ozark and immediately came back and wanted out of the deal. They didn't want the vehicle because the check engine light had come on and they were worried that it was going to give trouble for the rest of the time they drove it. They said, well, before we let you out of the deal, let's see what the check engine light was. And I put hooked up the service bay diagnostics here, and they gave me a P1270 code. I think that's a code. And that meant that they drove it really fast. They drove it fast enough that it shut off the injectors.
How fast did you go to?
They was driving it way under faster than they should have. And it was basically see, rev limiter keeps you from revving it too high. And high speed keeps you from driving too fast. Like if it sees a vehicle speed that's gonna be dangerous on those tires, it starts killing injectors and then it turns on the check engine light. And they thought they had messed it up, driving it too fast, and they were thinking, oh no, we screwed it up. We don't want this vehicle anymore because we've ruined it. They didn't hurt it. All I had to do was clear the code and shake the finger in their face. You tried to tear this thing up and bring it back. There'll be no days like this,
Yeah.
All right.
Little pride.
What causes this again? What do you call this? When it's got little, scalloping? All right, cupped or scallop dips appearing around the surface can indicate loose, worn, bent suspension part, worn shock absorber, wheel. Brake rotors can cause it, but the cupping will be more of a concentric pattern on those. If you run your hand along the face of the tire, you can feel it. You'll feel it, and sometimes it'll be because they haven't rotated them like they should. You may want to make sure you don't have steel cords showing. How many of you have grabbed a hold of a tire with cords and went, ow?
Yep.
Get that.
Boy, that David Bronner's coin.
Huh?
That one, David Bronner's car,
Yeah. Did you get a good bite out of that one? Yeah. You didn't wuss out on it, did you? Just picked it up anyway, you know? And there you stab my hand. You know, we'll show you. Right? Shoulder wear, usually the result of low tire pressure, can be due to overloading the vehicle. Think about that. If you put too much weight in the vehicle, it's gonna look like they've been running it with underinflated tires because it's squishing the tires down, you know? All right, toe wear results when it's not aligned parallel to the center line. That's toe in or toe out. That's not a, you know that. Excessive toe results in a soft tooth pattern of wear across the tread surface. All right, and then there's a little bit of look at camber wear. How many times you seen that where you got more wear here than you do on that side? See what I mean? Of course, you can also, you get that from driving around the parking lot too, you know. All right. A motorcycle's front forks point forward at the bottom and slope backward at the top. What is this angle here?
Steering axis.
Inclination.
I would call this caster. Right? The steering axis inclination is side to side. This is front to rear, okay? That's a good example of positive caster. Think about this. Makes the motorcycle really stable when you're riding ahead. Imagine this. What if you brought that caster back negative on that motorcycle? That'd be a squirrely riding son of a gun, wouldn't it? It'd be all over the road like a dadgum shopping cart. So when you put it forward, it makes it nice and stable, right? All right, caster angle settings the balance and steering wheel effort, stability, and high speed. Remember when I told you, if you know your caster, and you can tell about your caster, if you put a tape measure between the ground and a spot that you mark on a bumper with a Sharpie or something, of course, don't do that, you know, put a piece of tape around. Anyway, if you turn the wheel, you're gonna see that bumper rise up. Then when you turn it back to the middle, it's gonna go down, and then when you turn, while you're turning it the other way, it's gonna go up. So the lowest place where it wants to be is the center. And that's what makes it come back to the center whenever, you know how when you turn, it kind of wants to come back to the center? And that's the reason for that, okay? Or at least one reason for it. More positive caster will increase steering effort and improve tracking. It'll naturally want to go straight. That's what I was talking about. And improve stability in cornering. Positive caster increases tire lean, cornering, almost like having more negative camber as the steering angle is increasing. They'll sort of turn the tires into the thing. If the vehicle doesn't have power steering, it's harder to steer when it's got positive caster. That's why you'll see a more negative caster angle on vehicles that are built without power steering, which you never see that anymore. All right, so the age and the condition of the tire, look for suspension steering component damage and obvious ride height issues. If, for example, the tires are all the same side, but one corner is lower than the rest of them, you know, if they ain't got a bunch of copper wire in a trunk on one side, or maybe hauling something heavy back there, you know, you may have suspension stuff like a broken spring or something like that. And so, okay, so tell me one thing that you learned today.
Scalloping.
What did you say? What?
Scalloping.
Scalloping, what about you?
Overinflation, underinflation,
Just naming stuff all over.
yeah,
What about-
it's the
What about you?
overinflation is the inside of the tire, like the middle of the tire is bent,
Yeah.
messed up in the outside.
Well, you kinda know what you're looking at now, though, when you
Yeah.
see one, you know what.
I didn't know that though.
Yeah, you kinda know what to pay attention, yeah, that's always what
So,
you're
I
here
learned
to learn
something.
that. What about you?
I learned better how to tell. Sometimes we were saying that if a truck has too much weight on it, it could look like it, you know, it's underinflated, but it's not. It's just.
Or if they're driving really fast, they'll
Drive
look
really
like they're
fast,
over,
yeah.
if they consistently drive really fast.
Yeah, but
Of course, you don't know anybody that consistently drives really fast, do you?
Shane.
I mean, like
Jonathan.
200 miles an hour or something like that, you know?
Jonathan.
Yeah, somebody driving that fast, boy, I wouldn't want to be in the car with him.
Yeah.